Hello guys, today we are looking at the Marvel Legends, Marvel Studios 10-year Captain America and Crossbones 2-pack. This set retails for $49.99, and as a 2-pack it does not include any Build-A-Figure part or anything aside from what is directly shown right here. And that is the Captain America and Crossbones figure. Let's start off with the more boring figure of the set, the one in which we've seen time and time again, Captain America. Now, primarily you want this figure for one reason, and that would be the head sculpt. Let's just pop the shield right off and look at the Chris Evans likeness, which they actually did well on for once. I know a lot of times Hasbro has made the Chris Evans just look like generic white guy number 3, and this time it actually looks like Chris Evans, so that's good. And not only do we get this good head sculpt, we also get a second head sculpt with him and his mask, which we can just pop off this head somewhat easily and pop on the masked version. And the masked version is just as good. We get another great likenesses of Evans, and there's really good paint apps. If I tilt it upwards, maybe you can see the eyes a little better. The eyes feature the new printing technology, in which makes them look a lot more lifelike rather than the cartoony big old bulging white eyes that we used to get. And really, aside from the head sculpt, this figure is nothing new. But I will want to point out, on my Cap figure at least, there's a noticeable gap between the hairline and the helmet line on the back of the helmeted version. Whereas in the back of the regular thing, the hairline doesn't go quite as far down as I would have liked, but it's still prominent. But yeah, definitely a gap here. I don't know if that's an issue that most people are plagued with, but mine definitely has it. Cap also comes with his shield, which is the same sculpt I believe we've seen before, with the two double strap, one large, one small, and goes around his arm quite well. But it does feature probably the best paint job we've seen on a Captain America shield yet. It's very metallic, it's cast in good plastic, and the back is all silver. Mind you, the silver plastic, you can see a little bit of the plastic swirls or whatever, just because of the, I don't know, I want to say cheapness of plastic, but I'm not sure if it's just cheap plastic or just something that plastic does when you mold it in the color. Anyways, Captain America figure is the same body we've seen time and time again, as I said. I believe it was last included in the Giant Man, Build-A-Figure Wave, and Civil War 3-pack. So that features all the articulation you've come to expect. Ball-jointed head with the additional swivel, ball-jointed shoulder, swivel bicep, double-jointed elbow, ball-jointed wrist, ball-jointed swivel torso, ab crunch, ball-jointed hip, swivel thigh, double-jointed knee, swivel boot, and then finally your rocker ankles. Paint job on the base figure is very good, and we even get really well printed on Avengers logo on both of his shoulders here. So it's the best Captain America we've gotten so far by far, especially with the head, but even the body's pretty good. I would have wished we gotten some interchangeable hands like we have in the past with Captain America figures, but unfortunately we just get the heads and the shield. Now on to the more impressive figure of the set, and that would be Crossbones, of course. As far as I can tell, Crossbones is a brand new figure, and he includes 4 accessories if you count both of his heads here. But first, let's take a look at his head here. And as you can see here, it has all this guard look to it, as well as the nice eye paint that I was talking about before. Hair's really well sculpted, head's really well sculpted. Hasbro's just really been knocking out of the park with the head sculpts as of late. And you also get included the masked helmet head, which again looks very nice as well. From the back, looks good. And one thing I want to notice, let's pop this off quick to show you better. If you notice, the eyes are actually really well painted, and that's because if you look at the bottom, the helmet's actually cast in the inside of the helmet's actually cast in flesh tone, which means little flesh around the eyes is perfectly cast, no really difficulty in painting it or whatever. You know I hate painted faces, so that gets a definite bonus point for me. And his final accessories are these little shocker punch arms, I want to call them. I'm not really sure. They're just these little hydraulic punch arms. I'm sure they have a name, but they come off quite nicely. If you really wanted to wiggle them around, I could have him hold the bar in the center, but for what I'm using the figures for, it looks fine otherwise. And then underneath you have your base figure, which this base figure is really well sculpted, has really good detailing, really good painting. I really like the Crossbones. I would have wished they were a little bit brighter, a little bit more noticeable. As you can see here, they're slightly noticeable. I wish they were as noticeable as the white paint on the helmet, but we can't get everything we want. And my other small note I want to make about this figure is there's a sculpted on pistol on his thigh rather than having a removable pistol. which kind of leaves a bitter taste in my mouth just because these are supposed to be deluxe figures. You'd think we'd get removable pistol at least. I'm fine with the ammos being sculpted on, but the pistol would have been a nice thing to have him to hold, especially since if you don't have his little punch things on, he's got nothing to do. This figure, though, does have really good articulation, which would be the ball jointed head with the additional swivel, ball jointed shoulder, swivel bicep, double jointed elbow, ball jointed wrist, ball jointed torso under there. So you get all fields of motion with them. Ball jointed waist, ball jointed hip, swivel thigh, again double jointed knee, and finally the rocker ankle. No boot articulation like Captain has. So this has slightly less articulation than the Cap, but is a much nicer figure due to the, the relative newness of it, considering that Cap has come before. So really, these figures are great articulation-wise, paint-wise, head sculpt-wise, of course. So of course, these figures are great sculpt-wise, paint-wise, articulation-wise, but one thing that they really lack is accessories. I mean, with Crossbones, you only get 3 really interchangeable accessories, and with Cap, you only get 2, and as I said in my Iron Man review, these are deluxe figures. They're coming out at a $5 higher price point per figure, and you don't even get a Build-A-Figure part. So, I don't really know where the money went. Like, you compare this figure to the Thor figure in the Cold Obsidian Wave, or the Black Widow figure in the Cold Obsidian Wave, and you see that those are fairly new sculpts as well, or new paint apps, and everything's just the same level as here. And even Black Widow has more accessories, yet these don't come with a Build-A-Figure part, are more expensive, and yet we don't get the same level of accessories, and we don't get that extra push that we really should have gotten. So even though these 2 figures are great, they feature really good paint jobs, really good paint apps. They're definitely definitive versions of all of themselves. This Captain blows out every other Captain America they've ever given us, and Crossbones is a new character, so if you're interested in Crossbones, you're going to have to pick them up. But I don't think they are worthy of the $50 price point. $45 would have worked a lot better for these guys, and $40 would have been great. But realistically, $45 I think is where these guys are at, and because of that, I'm going to give these 2 figures the exact same score that I gave the Iron Man figure, which is a 7 out of 10. It's just, the figures are decent, but they really lack in accessories, and they don't really have a wow factor to really, in my opinion, merit that extra dollar price point. So again, great figures. Pick them up if you really, really want them. But I don't like the trend that this Hasbro's pushing with these guys. I don't want to be paying $25 a piece for Marvel Legends figures. And I know some people international will be like, well, I paid $30 a figure. In the US, we've grown accustomed to $20. And if they want to push more, I really want to see a greater increase in quality. So more accessories, better head sculpts, which, I mean, these have better head sculpts. They're just really lacking accessories. But yeah, thanks for watching.